Hey everyone, this is Drew Meekins, and I'm going to record my feedback for the challenge this week, week 4. First of all, I thought it was so interesting how so many of you had a similar concept. It's just kind of fascinating to think about all of our influences and how those things are, or how those things affect our concepts. But this sort of, starting on the boards or off the ice, and this kind of ragdoll, contrasted with these more sharp, direct movements, which is really interesting. I mean, the pieces almost look like they could be played back to back to back in some kind of, greater show or something, a cohesive show. But just a, interesting side note. So we'll start with Jacqueline. I really enjoyed some of the arm and hand movements. I thought they were really interesting and cool. And I like that you chose to do a duet. I think, that can be really challenging, especially with execution, because there's a lot of things about timing, if it's supposed to be symmetrical in unison or out of unison, asymmetrical. For me, I wish that execution would have been more clear to me. There were moments where I wasn't sure exactly what the idea or concept from you was regarding that. So overall, I had you at 10 stars. Next, we'll go to Ola. I really liked how you covered the ice well. You used tempo of movement and also speed really well, really dynamically. And I appreciated how you had lots of 1 foot skating moments, lots of steps in particular, while you were doing, choreographic movements with the upper body, with the hands, with the head. I thought this was really thorough. And for me, what I appreciate about that was that it really took the language of skating and also use some innovative movements and ways in which we don't often move on the ice. And I thought that was really cool. So overall, I had you at 14 stars. One note is that, while I did think you covered the ice well, you used different steps, I think for me to go higher than 14, I would have liked to see like a diverser range of the kinds of movements on the ice. So not just steps, but also turns and different kind of steps. Like it seemed like lots of mohawks and stuff like that. So just keep that in mind next time. Okay, so let's go to Karen. Karen, I also really liked this piece. I thought it was really, again, really interesting, the way you used the body, the hips, the hands. I like that eventually you got to a progression of like covering more space, of using speed a little bit more. But in my opinion, I felt like I was sort of wanting this a little bit sooner, or maybe a better word would be like a little bit more of it, to kind of balance out the interesting, more stationary, smaller pattern, even some the 2 feet moments at the beginning. So overall, I had you at 12 stars. So next is Sonia. I commend you for picking a developing skater, a juvenile level skater for, to represent your choreography. That's an interesting choice, to be honest, because it's a really sophisticated piece of music. It's very nuanced, in my opinion. And so while it can be really interesting to pick a developing skater, I think it can be hard to have them capture exactly your vision. I thought your skater did a great job of that, but definitely, I think the devil's in the details a little bit, and probably I would imagine that like some of the precision to the execution was lost just because of their ability. Now, one thing I did appreciate about it was that it brought this kind of lightness to the music that, I didn't really feel in the other choreographers' work this week. There was a coolness, right, and intrigue and some other things, but you're a skater, I think, because of her age and her personality, which really came through, brought this lightness to it. So I really liked that. I thought the spread eagle moment where she jumped off of her heels was really interesting. It really stuck out to me. But overall, I had you at 12.5 stars. So next we'll go to Kata. Again, really well done. I think what struck me about yours was the movement, I think, was really interesting, very innovative, very well executed. I had some feelings, though, that, my point of view is always, okay, what makes this unique about the form of skating, right? And so for me, I kept thinking, a lot of this would really translate to the floor, which isn't necessarily a negative thing, but I think what I was longing to see was like a little bit more of like why you chose the medium of the ice here. And some examples for me there are maybe more change in speed, definitely change in ice coverage, more choreography that is rooted in how you are using the blade on the ice. A lot of it I felt like was rooted in the body movement, and the hands and the arms and the feet were sort of not really like an essential or integral part of it. And so I think definitely finding a balance there is important. I'm not suggesting like only one or the other. I think part of being creative is exploring how far you can push these boundaries. But I think, for me, I was definitely interested in seeing a little bit more of that use of blade, that speed, that ice coverage. So overall, I had you at 12.5 stars. I did really enjoy your creativity, and the execution of the movement and the choreography you did was really excellent. So finally, we have Maddie. I really liked how you found a good balance of, using the language of skating, covering the ice, using speed, using tempo of movement. The diversity to me was really well layered, and the execution was really cool. I just loved watching you skate this and watching your movement style. There were some really interesting kinds of movement you used in a way that still felt really like central to the principles of skating, but some cool things like some pulsating movement and some vibratory movement. I loved the mixture of released movement and sharp and direct movement. I thought it was really well layered and really interesting to watch. So overall, I had you at 14 stars. So that's it for this week. Thanks, everybody. See you next week.